a good example or a bad example, but, you know, I teach middle school, and sometimes I'll hear the male students call each other the N-word. I won't even say it, because I've taught my children not to ever use that word, because I was always, to me, it was always a put-down word.
Yeah.
But I don't know how to respond to that. I usually will say, yeah, let's not say that, because I was always taught that was a put-down word, so I won't let them say that. I don't want my male students to say that to each other, if that's what that is. But it is so confusing to me, because I won't let my family say that, because I was always taught that was a put-down word. But when I'll hear African Americans males say it, and Hispanic males, and males of all different races say that to each other. I don't know what females with that. Yeah, I just, because I will not let my family talk down to other people, but I don't know what that is for other people when they say it to each other.
That would be, that's a 400-year-old conversation, and one that's really kind of difficult to mind. But I think that I wish I could remember exactly how he put it, but Ta-Nehisi Coates talked a lot about the use of that word, and how, although it obviously has a very negative background, how there was this kind of reclamation that took place within the black community to kind of redefine that word and to use it as a term of endearment. And then when people outside of the culture want to use that word, again, he questions motive, because he says, you know, my mother calls my father whatever her pet name was for him, right? He said, but if I call my father that, you know, that's offensive, because I haven't, that's something that's between them and something that they would read upon. And so I'm not saying that that's right or wrong, but I think that I would lean toward not using the word, but within certain aspects of, you know, the black community, there is a conversation about how we've reclaimed that word and we can use it, but it's offensive when others do. It's just, I don't know that we'll ever totally unravel that one, because that word has so much of a horrible history connected to it. But I could understand why you would be confused about it. But I do agree with, in terms of in the classroom environment or whatever, that it's inappropriate. And I think that you just have to take that stance.
One more thing is that it's not just the African American and the N-word, because one of the things that's happened with the generation that's probably about 21 to 25 right now, there are different publications, different blogs where they have appropriated their own, the names that were slang for the Jewish people. They now, that's what they call their magazine.
Yeah, right,
you know?
Right.
And so in other words, they've taken a word that put them into, you know, into horrible situations, and they have taken it, owned it, and then made it something that they've lifted. And I think that may be a little bit of what we're talking about, but it's not something that people do that are not Jewish or not African American or not.
But that's why I like his poem, because he went over the history of, which I didn't know something about.
Right. When he broke down the history or the etymology, the origins and some of the derogative terms that have been used in reference to Asians, I thought that was particularly powerful, because I never knew.
The thing I have to say about that show that's really interesting is that Chinese and Japanese and Koreans and Vietnamese, they all have a really, they're known Asians, you know. Our population of students, the Karen, the Hmong people, the Burmese people, we're minorities even within Asian culture. So to us, our parents didn't come here and build the railroad tracks, you know. We don't share the same history in that. We have other history in America that we relate to that is not, there's even disparities within the Asian race itself too. So.
All right, so
one more.
Yes. Okay.
I asked Aaron, as a person who utilizes the language, if he would just give us a little bit in terms of his feelings. No, if you tell us a little about his feelings. Just tell us your feelings about it. tell us what your progression is.
Well, I use the word with my friends.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't really use it with people who are outside the ethnicity. Because,
Right.
like when I said, we did reclaim the word. So,
Yes.
you know, it's a source of empowerment. It's like friends, like homie, like, what's up, my homie? You know, like,
Right.
They do that from people who don't look like us, though, because it's like, you guys gave it, not you guys, but anybody who doesn't look like you, they gave it a negative connotation, they gave it a positive connotation. So there's a difference, there's a different way of communicating. I use it because it's a lot of words that rhyme.
I know. Thank you, Aaron. Thank you for letting us put you on the spot.
You see, I really.
Everyone, can we have a focus to the
that
front?
poetry provides this opportunity for us to have these difficult conversations. Just reflect on the remaining two discussion questions. I'm asking students to think about what stereotypes that they believe as it pertains to other people, and what they, and hopefully eventually learned that that particular stereotype was false. So what stereotypes have they been guilty of kind of associating with other people? And then finally, just perceptions in general. What perceptions have other people had about you that aren't true? So that will be the discussion portion. And then we'll move on into the writing. And so on the very last page, there's a template, and it's just because. And if you turn that page over, there's an example of how to use the template. This poem was written by a young girl from San Diego. And really quickly, she said, just because I am Mexican doesn't mean I speak Spanish, doesn't mean I'm illegal, doesn't mean I'm illiterate. I'm a good reader. Just because I'm a girl doesn't mean I like to shop, doesn't mean I'm boy crazy, doesn't mean I can't play sports. I'm a loyal friend. Just because I'm Catholic doesn't mean I go to church, doesn't mean I read the Bible, doesn't mean I'm better than you. I'm a nice person. Just because I am young doesn't mean I'm naive, doesn't mean I don't care, doesn't mean I will understand someday. I am a human being. So you see her multiple identities represented there, right? She talks about being Mexican, she talks about being a girl, she talks about being Catholic, which is, you know, obviously a religion, and young. So sometimes our stereotypes can even be based on age. Using that form, I will ask the students to write a similar poem dealing with their, you know, experiences with stereotypes and perceptions. Or the student can try to emulate what Alex Dane did and just write a poem about their personal experiences without necessarily using the template. The templates are just a tool. Sometimes the students feel like, do I have to fill in every blank? No. Do I have to follow it exactly? No. It just gives you a starting point. And if, for whatever reasons, based on the conversation or the performance that we'll see that day, if students are inspired to go their own way with what they choose to write, I'm totally okay with that. So we're running out of time, but why don't we take just maybe like 3 or 4 minutes, just do a quick free write, don't think about it too hard, use the template, and see what you guys can come up with.